Hello everybody, I am Dr. Christine Nangayan, aka The Spiritual Shrink, and I am coming to you with another video today. The world is we're in July, mid-July, and the world is post-quarantine. Still not out of the COVID-19 crisis, but in a little bit of a different space than we were in March and April. At least the Northeast. I know the rest of the country is sort of going through what we were going through in the beginning. So I thought one of the things that has come up, I've been crazy busy, so I apologize for not doing more recent videos. One of the things that keep coming up with my patients, many of them have been furloughed, many of them have been laid off, their companies have gone bankrupt, depending on the kind of work that they did. So a lot of people are reinventing themselves and sort of saying, how can I reinvent myself? How can I do something different at this point in my life? How do I know what my potential is, and how do I actualize that? And it's a question that I get a lot, and a question I put a lot of thought into for many reasons. Even in my own life, there's just times that you sort of wonder, could I be doing something different? Could I be doing something more? Could I be doing something more fulfilling? I don't know what your situation is, in terms of career, but people are often afraid to make moves because of money and, responsibilities and obligations, and it makes sense. But I just today want to talk to you about potential and what I think that is my opinion. So it's sort of, when you look at potential, and again, I go by the spiritual shrink, so clearly I'm spiritual. But there's a similarity between, I think, the definition of potential, which is, the elements are there for something to happen. So the potential exists. If you have firewood, if you have matches, if you have gasoline, if you have newspaper, and if you have a fire pit, you have the potential to build a fire. It doesn't necessarily mean a fire's going to be built, but the potential is there. All the elements are there. Faith is defined not quite dissimilarly. So when you look at faith, it's the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So the substance of things hoped for. So faith is feeling like something's going to happen, or believing that something's going to happen, knowing that something's going to happen without necessarily seeing that. And it's very similar with potential. Potential is there, but you can't quantify it, you can't measure it. Electrical potential you can. In the hard sciences, it's defined a little bit differently, but it is still sort of the same thing. The energy is there. The potential for electricity to be, conducted through this wire is there. So I often, when I was in college, we'd always have these intellectual discussions, and you'd go for coffee, and you'd bring up something sort of philosophical. And I think there's a lot of overlap sometimes between psychology and philosophy. And there was often the argument, I thought about this a lot. I was a chemistry major, and I'll explain why this helped me. There's the argument that if you're in a forest, you're not in the forest, if there's a forest and a tree falls, if there's not a person there to hear it, does it really make a sound? And it became sort of the relativity of man, and man being the central point in the story, and if man isn't there to witness it, does it really exist? Yada, yada, yada. And I thought about it, and it used to drive me nuts, and then I broke it down into the actual elements. So I really said, okay, does it produce a sound? If a tree falls, does it produce a sound? What is sound? So sound is when a sound wave hits a receptacle, aka an eardrum, and is transmuted from a sound wave, the potential for sound, into sound. Without the eardrum there, without the receptacle to sort of say, I'm changing this form of energy into this form of energy, a sound is not produced. The potential for sound is there. A million sound waves are put out in a million different directions, but if there isn't an eardrum to produce a sound is not heard. So it really sort of opened my eyes in so many different ways, because I think God works sort of like this. And I say God meaning, you could say the universe, infinite wisdom of mankind, infinite spirit of mankind, whatever your It doesn't have to be religious. I think God sort of embodies what we all sort of visualize as that entity outside of ourselves that's good and all binding and all encompassing and all knowing. So I use God in that sense, not necessarily just to be, religious or spiritual. So God, I think, works in the same way. I think every morning, every day, miracle waves go out in a million different directions all over the world. If there's not an open mind, if there's not an open heart, if there's not somebody that has faith that transmutes the potential for a miracle into a miracle, it doesn't necessarily occur. So why am I saying this today, and what am I giving you these analogies for? I think that's what potential is. You are the potential. You are the potential. Without you, the sound is not produced. Without you, the miracle is not produced. It's you in the end. What you need to do is pick a direction, sort of decide what's the next step in my life. And it can be basic. It doesn't have to be a formal outline, and you don't have to go crazy with it, but just even what's a step that's going to take me in the direction that I want to go in. What direction, even answering that, what direction do I want to go in? But understanding that you might be sitting in a room with every single element there that you need. The computer is there, the paper's there, the printer's there, the coloring book is there, the crayons are there, the fill in the blank, it's there. You've got everything at your fingertips. It's you that will make it happen. Not just you believing it, but you actually taking an action in that direction will make it happen. So we can be passive and hear a sound. We can be passive and experience a miracle, but something in us has to be open and something in us has to be ready. That's when potential is realized. That's when potential is actualized. So my lesson today to everybody, my words of wisdom today, pearls of wisdom, is to sit down and start thinking about what you want to create. And just start using your intuition, start really getting in touch with your heart space, with your head space a little bit, but more your heart space, and say, what do I want? And I know I have the potential to make it happen. We all have the potential to make anything happen. With God, all things are possible. When I say that, I mean in alignment with the divine, in alignment with the universe, the world plane of spirit and thought and intention. All things are possible. You can do everything you can to the point that you can, and then it's sort of the realm of the divine to kind of pick it up from there, or bring you to a place where your elements will make it happen. But we have to take the first step. So I'm asking you today to think about the next step you want to take in your life and what that's going to mean, because you know you've got the potential. You are the potential. So hopefully that's food for thought, and I thank you for joining me, and I promise I will be getting more videos out to you very soon. I hope everybody is having a wonderful summer and a safe summer, and stay positive and be well. Take care.